Hello, everybody. This is the Tour Coach, and it is Masters Week. My favorite week of the year, as I'm sure it is yours. It's like a holiday. It's like a religious occasion. Unfortunately for me, I'm not coaching and teaching there this year, but if you're sitting down, you're listening to the Tour Coach, you know these are my conversations and my stories and roundtable discussions from my travels and Jackson Court's travels in the world of golf, whether they're teachers, they're players, coaches, fitness experts, whatever it is. It's the people that we meet, we talk to, trust, learn from, work with. All of it, we sit down and we talk and we share it with you to hopefully help give you some enjoyment, give you some inspiration, and also, more than anything, help your game. And so if you've been listening, you know the last several weeks we've been doing a Masters giveaway with our new content going out on Dew Sweeper TV on YouTube. Look, all you got to do is go to YouTube and type in hashtag Dew Sweepers TV, Dew Sweepers TV hashtag on our YouTube channel. Join the channel, like it, go to the description of our podcast here, wherever you get your podcast, and subscribe to it and type hashtag Dew Sweeper TV, and you register for a giveaway Monday morning after the Masters. We're going to give away a set of Shrixon irons of your choice. We're going to give away 12 dozen Shrixon balls and a dozen Shrixon gloves to one lucky winner. Great opportunity to get some great Dew Sweeper Shrixon gear. All you got to do is check out our content over on YouTube, and that's Dew Sweeper TV. Our follows are going through the roof. The views and the comments about our content have been overwhelming. So please check out Dew Sweeper TV over on YouTube, and an opportunity to win some great Shrixon gear. Monday after the Masters, going to give away a set of Shrixon irons, 12 dozen Shrixon balls, and a dozen Shrixon gloves for one lucky winner. We'll do that drawing and announce it, so make sure you check it out. Great Masters Week. We're going to have a lot of content coming to you here on the Tour Coach, so make sure you listen, subscribe, and none of this could be remotely possible without our sponsors, and that, of course, is Shrixon Golf, Bushnell Golf, Vineyard Vines, Mitch McConnell and the folks at McConnell Automotive and Buick GMC, and you obviously can't forget Ed Rowan, Taylor Martino and Rowan, and Stokely's Midtown Garden Center. All of that support makes the Dew Sweepers radio show, the Tour Coach, and Dew Sweepers TV all possible. So stay tuned. Enjoy Masters Week. It's the first major of the season. I'm ready for it. Are you? All right, so joining me here on the Tour Coach is my good friend, one of the great teachers in the game of golf, Golf Digest Top 50, Golf Magazine Top 100. I had the opportunity to spend a bunch of time with him down at Doral a few years ago. Brilliant mind, always supportive of us here on the Tour Coach, Kevin Kirk. What's up, Kev?
What's up, Tony? How are you, pal?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty dang good. I can't complain. Nobody listened to me anyway, so.
I listen to you.
Well, I appreciate that. I got 2 listeners now. But, look, I always like picking the brains of people, that have been there, right, have done that. And it was no different. My first trip to Augusta National was with Smiley, and I talked to as many people that had been there before as I could. You've always been a great resource, and obviously having coached Patrick Reed, one of the great players in the game, won the 2018 Masters. Let's talk a little bit about what it's like coaching at Augusta and what you think some of the secrets to success might be there. Haven't had some.
Yeah, I think the Masters is such a unique place. It's, the golf course has some very, very specific things that it wants from you. And I think it takes when you get there the first few times, you're so overrun by just the kind of the enormity of the event and all the spectacle that kind of goes along with it, that it's sometimes hard to actually, slow down and actually understand what the golf course is, wants you to do. And so it's interesting because once guys figure that golf course out, they seem to be able to kind of repeat their performances there. If you look at, track records of people that have done well there, it seems like that there's a riddle there that people kind of get to, that they actually get to where they understand the golf course well enough that they can play well there and they can actually repeat it. So it is a unique place, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show again this week.
Yeah, I agree. It seems it's interesting that folks, some figure it out quicker than others, but I think that one of the keys, and I'd like your opinion on this, and I felt Smiley the year he played and obviously made it to the final group and didn't finish the way he wanted, but to be a rookie and to make it to the final group, I think is a heck of an accomplishment. But I thought he did a great job leading up to the week of getting there, of really picking the brain of people that had been successful there, i.e. like he was good friends with Jordan Spieth, but he spent a lot of time talking to people, I felt like, and, really went in there with a good plan and kind of stuck to the plan. What are some of you talked about people that solve the riddle? What do you think are some of those solutions or some of the answers to playing and getting around Augusta National? For me, obviously driving the golf ball is really important. We spent a lot of time focusing on that. That was one of the reasons he was in such good shape all week. But what are some of the things you think that are very critical to solving that riddle?
Yeah, the golf course is fairly generous off the tee, and every year it seems like it's getting a little bit longer and bigger, and in my mind, it's a second shot golf course, and so it really requires, kind of thinking your way through the second shots now. So the tee shot does become important because the position that you play from,
right,
is going to dictate kind of, the accessibility to be able to kind of get to some of the pins, and so. For example, I think 3 is a good example where
that's where I was thinking exactly.
Depending on the pin location, you can, there's things you do and don't do. Because you can blast it down by the green, but you can also, if you get down on the wrong pin position, you could not keep it on the green trying to get to, with the second shot. I do think that there's also ridges out there on those golf courses, and the thing that it does, it has pockets, and so if you're on with your iron play, you can actually use the ridges and hit those pockets, and you can get the golf ball close without taking on a pin, because you can use the slopes. I think one of the things that's underrated about the golf course that people don't really talk a lot about is it's you have to be able to chip the ball well, because sometimes a good position there may not be on the green, some of those pins, and so the chipping there is tricky. The greens are so firm that it's not so much you can't really stop it with spin, so a lot of the shots that you see normally with the tour players, chipping the ball around the green, whether you spin to slow the ball down, you almost have to use height there.
Right.
And then the last thing is, the greens are breaking, the magnitude of the slope around the greens is so great that it almost kind of masks the intensity of the break on the greens. All those putts, nobody's ever really been able to kind of get on there with a stent meter, with a level or anything. But I would say that they've got all those putts are probably there's only one spot on the golf course, probably 11 or 12 green. Looks like it's pretty level, and there's a couple of small spots. But most of the spots out there, you're putting on, a 2% slope or higher, all the way up to probably 3.5, and you do that with green speeds that approach 13, and all of a sudden you got yourself a nightmare on your hands.
No, I agree, and I before you said that, I was when I'd asked, I was thinking of the things that I think are important, and again, I don't think people talk about chipping enough, but I thought but I think that's one thing that's really important around there, because I agree, there's places that you're better to just be short of the green or over the green even, or wherever it is, chip it up the hill than you are to hit it 20 feet past it or to the correct or to the incorrect side. And I think the ability to play a variety of shots around that green is important. I think you got to have a pretty wide arsenal of short game shots, to have long-term success there. I don't know how you.
You look at the guys.
And Patrick obviously is, a model. One of the best chippers in short games in the game of golf, and one of the reasons he's successful there, I would say.
Yeah, but you look at a lot of the past champions there. We're talking about some of the best chippers that ever played the game, Seve and Tiger, and Jack wasn't a particularly good chipper, but he was, he was a good second shot. He was a good iron player, so his second shot, and then he listened to him talk about it. He just said he tried to hit it towards the middle of every green and not really try, to challenge that place too much. And I do think you can kind of get yourself in trouble there, taking things on. I think I heard Rory talking about this week, trying to kind of be a little bit more, maybe not quite, feel like you had to kind of, red line every single shot out there. So I think, but I mean, Seve was an incredible chipper. Jordan Spieth, an incredible chipper. Tiger Woods, an incredible chipper. So, Sergio, incredible chipper. You got, John Rahm, incredible chipper. So, I mean, you look at the past champions there. I think, that's definitely one of the skills that's required around that place. And it's, I don't know. You don't hear people talk a lot about it a lot, but I think it's really important there.
No, absolutely. What do you think's the best way to prepare and pace yourself during that week, early in the week? One mistake I've seen guys make, I've always shared this with the couple of young guys I've had go, and because I've watched it at other majors, that guys get into their first major, or they get then they go and they do too much. They play too much Monday, too much Tuesday, and then they've got the par 3 contests, all that stuff on Wednesday. I've always tried to do the prep and play it more before you get there, so that it's, that you can keep it as have as little impact on your body as you can that week. Because one thing I think TV doesn't do it justice, and everybody's talked about it, but is how hard that golf course is to walk, and how hilly and how much change, up and down there is walking around that place.
Yeah, I agree, Tony. I think the only around the big majors and those big events, it's always best to kind of go in advance and just take your time to play, golf at, at a slow pace where you can really kind of take in the things that you need to do to prepare for the course. And I think the Masters, even though that, they play the same course every year they change it up a little bit. I know they got to change this year on, they were talking about a couple of the greens that had been altered a little bit. You've got, new tee on 2, and so every year that they're doing something a little bit different. So being able to go in advance and try to get a sense of what, how the course is playing, and see the little subtle corrections, and just start refamiliarizing yourself with that place, I think is super important. You hear a lot of the guys going in, probably about 2 weeks ahead is about kind of the time that you'll see them in there a lot. So, and then, if you can get a good day of probably maybe 2 days of preparation done, 2 to 3 days of preparation on site, where you're just taking your time, playing 1-9 a day, and just, whatever it is, however you want to kind of go about gathering up your intel for the course. By the time you get there, I mean, the year Patrick won, we played probably, I think each day we played like 5 or 6 holes.
Really?
We would actually, we play like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, we would, both days we played, I guess Tuesday and Wednesday we played 5 holes and 7 holes.
Wow.
And because there are other demands, I mean, you talked about the physicality that's required to move around that place. I mean, the golf course is a beast to walk. Mm-hmm. And then you've also got all the extra stuff that that the tournament demands, which is, a lot of cases you have a lot of people pulling at you for your time and your attention. I do think that it seems like the guys that also kind of do quite well around that place can have the capacity to go into that tournament and kind of bubble themselves off. I remember talking to Ruben about Cabrera's win there. He said he and his caddy and his coach they got a house and they just try to kind of go to the golf course, come home, cook at the house, take it easy, try to rest, and not try to get caught up in too much of the the hype and all the extra activity. I mean, there are a lot of media demands on the hype, some of the top players, and some of the people that are there for the first time usually have a huge entourage of family and people they're trying to manage, and no matter how much you try not to think about it, that's an energy drain that makes it tough to focus 100% or concentrate, or maybe just start showing up late in the week. So
no question. I think that's kind of and I agree. I think that now, I think a lot of people are solving that. You don't see like you did in the old days. In the old days, to me, one of the fun things about Augusta was actually you'd go over there as a patron, or teachers would go and we'd take our cameras and film. Like you'd see a lot of the players out at night. I know there weren't. I mean, I've seen John Daly in some places, and you'd see guys around, and you'd see them at dinner places, T-bones and different things. You don't see that near as much as you used to, especially. I mean, I can't think of the last time I saw Ernie Els and T-bones, 7-8 years ago. But I mean, you don't see that many of the guys out like you used to.
No, I mean, most of the guys will have a house, a really small group of people in the house, maybe a chef that's cooking for them all week. Then the times have changed. I mean, people, I think, are aware of making sure that they stay on top of their nutrition, making sure that they're recovering neurally to the best of their ability. Sometimes they'll have a physio there with them to kind of, or a massage therapist or whatever with them. But I mean, it's about, part of work in today's game is recovering well. And so, that involves good nutrition and good hydration and good rest and all of it. So, I mean, and these guys are, they're all trying to, figure out how to do that better.
So is it, to me, it was interesting, the number of holes that you talked about that y'all did as prep that week.
Yeah.
I found that fascinating. Talk about it going into the tournament. Obviously he was playing good golf. What were your thoughts, like, as you go Thursday, Friday? Take us through a little bit about your thoughts and, kind of how you approach Thursday and Friday. And you go into every tournament hoping your guy plays well and you plan to play well, but you don't always expect them to win the Masters, obviously. Yeah. But how did you go Thursday to Friday? Take us through that week.
I mean, it's such a funny week because, I mean, you can do all your preparation and you do the very, very best you can, but there's always Murphy's Law at work, So we roll in there on Tuesday, and I've got a little bit of a sore throat, and I've been with Patrick. He and I have been together, pretty much the entire 2-week run up. And he comes up on the tee on Tuesday and says his throat's sore. And I'm like, okay. So I'm not telling him I'm sick, but he's not feeling good. And Wednesday it starts kind of getting a little worse, and so that was part of the reason we kind of cut back on the practice. And Thursday morning he shows up and he's not feeling well. And he goes out and plays great. And he shows up at on Friday morning he comes to the golf course. I think we're teeing off last, and he shows up at the golf course normally about 90 minutes. We start warm ups about 90 minutes before it's tee time. So we're out there I'm out there at the golf course. He got 2:00 tee time. He rolls at the golf course about noon, and just looks awful. I mean, looks terrible. And I said, "How you doing this morning, Pro?" He goes, "Man, I feel so bad." I said, "Well," he goes, "I've got this cold and I'm just not feeling great." I said, "Okay, well." I said, "Did you sleep well?" He said, "Yeah, I slept great. I drank a half a bottle of cough medicine." I said, "You did what?" I mean, that was my first impression. Of course, I swallowed it and said, "Well, so the cough medicine is probably not the best thing for you at the Masters. I don't care how sick you are, and especially half a bottle of it. But the good news," I said, "Well, the good news is you got some rest." And I said, "That stuff will flush out of your system pretty good. I'm not going to make up a story, right? I got to try to manage this moment." So I said, "Well, the good news is you slept good, so that's good news." And I said that cough medicine will flush out of your system pretty quick. We'll get some hydration on board. And I said, by the time you walk over that first tee, you're going to get a big shot of adrenaline. By the time you walk up the top of that first hill, you're going to feel great and you're going to play great today. And he bought it. He goes, "Okay, that sounds great." I mean, it's like he was looking for somebody to kind of give him a plan, So
right.
Anyway, we get the hydration going, and he's hitting some shots and still kind of a little bit lethargic, but his practice goes on. He starts kind of getting a little more energy in his body, and I'm up there on the putting green with him, by number one. Say he walks off the putting green. I said, when you step on that tee, you're going to get that shot of adrenaline. By the time you get to the top of that hill, you're going to play great. You're going to feel great, and you're going to play great. And he went out there and just lit the place up. And so, and then he went on to the weekend. Once he kind of got it, he's a player that once he kind of gets in the mix, so he likes to stay in the mix, and he doesn't very rarely get in the mix and fall out,
Yeah.
And so by the time he got to the end of Saturday or Friday, and he was on the lead, it was like, okay, here we go. And so he got a good night's sleep on Saturday, and then Sunday morning he showed up and he was ready to go, You coach in this game for a long time, and every now and then you get to see something really special. And, that was an incredible week for me and him. And, to watch a kid that you coach, you developed, slip on a green jacket and realize one of his dreams is an amazing experience. And it's something I'll never forget.
Absolutely. It's such a cool, it's an eerie feeling. It's a different feeling to me because of obviously the magnitude of it and then how the way everybody goes off. But like when you're in that last group or that last group or two on Sunday or Saturday, I mean, you're the last people on earth on that range, and
no
everybody's watching the player and you work and like you said, when it's a young player that you've watched grow and mature, and it's a special time between three people with the caddy and like that team out there. It's a special thing that's really hard to describe, but it like to me, every time I think of my opportunity to be out there like that, and the same with Andy and Ben, like it's an emotional thing for you when you watch somebody that you've put a lot of time and that relationship, and then you watch them have the opportunity. Obviously, none of my guys were able to put the jacket on, but I can understand where you're going with that. But when you're that last group, like it's a weird deal. Like you don't experience that very often.
Yeah, I mean when you go into a competitive environment, the athlete has his own internal energy, but there's also the energy of the environment, and when you're standing on the tee out there, you can feel that the place is on. It's an electric kind of edgy place to be. And so even during the warm-ups, we're trying to kind of keep everything kind of slow and calm down. There's definitely an edge to it. There's an energy to it that's it's a high magnitude energy. And so I think part of the trick is to be able to kind of move slowly through that, recognize it's there, and then just to be able to kind of continue to try to operate to the best of your ability in the while all that's going on.
So Sunday, let's go to Sunday, and how was the range session on Sunday? Was it just
it was
every
good.
other
I mean, we're super, in Patrick's world there's a lot of sameness, so we just kind of started our practice just like it normally went, and he warmed up nicely, and so we're hopping on the cart to leave the range and head over to the first tee, and he looks over at me and he says, if I shoot in the 60s, they'll be the first person to ever shoot 4 rounds in the 60s. And I said, well, Patrick, you're playing good enough. There's no reason that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you just go out there and focus on that and getting that done. So we get up to we really not much said between there and the clubhouse, and we kind of get out of the clubhouse, and he looks over at me and he goes, just so you'll know, no matter what happens out there, I'll get this done today. I said, I know you will.
That's pretty cool.
And so, I mean, he was mindful enough to know that, while I've got this opportunity to do this one thing, there is a priority here, and I've got to make sure that I manage my moments out here, shot by shot, so that when, that I can be mindful about what's happening to make sure this doesn't slip away from me.
And I think that shows his maturity and ability to handle that moment. I thought one of the toughest parts about Sunday in the last group is how late. It really is different than what you do in a normal day or a week, even on tour, even on regular tour events. You just don't seem to, it seems like it takes forever to get to the time that you start your process of getting ready for a round of golf.
I agree with that. I mean, those late tee times are always tricky, but I'll tell you the thing that really freaked me out about that place on Sunday afternoon is walking around out there. There's no scoreboards, and so you hear all this noise, and the amount of noise that gets generated out there on a Sunday afternoon when you're close to the lead, you hear something happen and you really don't know what's happening.
Right.
I mean, coming through the backside there's a scoreboard, at 14, there's one at 16, there's one at 17, but you're out there, in that 13 area and some of these places on the golf course, you are not getting, you don't know what's happening. And all of a sudden you hear this huge roar and you can't really figure out what's going on. And the amount of roar noise is significant. It's really loud there.
Yeah.
I've been around, a lot of guys, watched a lot of guys win golf tournaments, and, it's exciting, but that noise out there on Sunday is unnerving. I mean, I was walking around the back nine. I'm not even playing. It's freaking me out, and just listen to it. And because you don't know what it is.
Right.
In most of the other tournaments, you've got a scoreboard right there. You can very quickly figure out what's happened. But that place is spooky on Sunday.
No question about it. I agree. there are some roars that are different, like if Tiger does something or so forth, but like you start hearing things happening ahead of you. And I think that's another thing that makes, like if you look at the majority of the guys that win, you've talked about some of the qualities of them. They're also very mentally tough and, because it takes a lot of discipline, I think. I think discipline's a great word for how you have to play that back nine.
In
your approach and in how you think.
Yeah, you go back to the year the Jack won in '86, right?
Right.
And so he's coming down. Now, Semi's out there kind of playing, and hears all this noise and then rinses it on 15, I think, trying to just, a shot that this guy can hit, 9 out of 10 times, he'll flush that thing and at least kind of get it over the water. But the noise, he backs off a couple times and then rinses it. I mean, it has an impact on the players. And so the capacity to be able to operate in that space and know that the noise is there and, be able to kind of take it into those really small pieces, that's that one shot at a time. I think that's another quality that's required to slip that green jacket on.
No question about it. Kev, this was fun. I know you anxious to watch the rest of the week. Appreciate you taking the time to sit in with me as always. And also thanks for all the help and the support over the years. I enjoy the opportunity. We always get to sit and chat golf and teach together. It means a lot to me.
Well, Tony, I appreciate you and I appreciate our friendship and, I appreciate all the things that you do out there to help people play better golf and help coaches get better. I always look forward to our time together, and I can't wait to see you again soon, pal.
Can't wait, buddy. Good luck and best of luck to you and Patrick this week. We'll be pulling for you.
Thanks, pal.
See you, buddy. I just want to remind everybody something that I forgot. Recently, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I went out. We went to a wedding, and afterwards with some friends, we were like, hey, where's a great place to go? I'll be honest, in my travels and day-to-day, sometimes I get caught up and I forget some of the great places right around the corner. But I got to remind you about the Icebox Bar on 755 Monroe Street. I was blown away by just the whole vibe, the atmosphere, and with the Velvet Pig, the food in the back room and the big screen TVs up front. We sat there and watched some playoff games. I was blown away by the atmosphere, the vibe, and just how cool it was to have the Icebox Bar right here near the Dew Sweepers downtown, near where I live. You're looking for a great place to go sit, watch some games, hang out, play some pool. You got to go to the Icebox Bar right there on Monroe Street. There's a good chance you'll see all of us hanging out. But do yourself a favor, go visit the Icebox. It's one of the best places out there. Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear. It goes on. It doesn't dry you out. It isn't greasy. It's like you didn't put anything on. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com. Use our code word DewSweeper. visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper.